Hi guys, it's Mitch here, just coming on to do this week's Facebook live reveals for you all. So this week I was working with the Dog Wisdom. It's a beautiful little deck, this one. So if you've been drawn to card 1, you had the energy of sadness. Now these cards are a little bit different cards. Oh, that sounds a bit Somerset, doesn't it? Or a bit Wiltshire. These cards are a little bit different in the sense that they have a pre-done message on the back, and then I just tend to add a little bit more if I feel kind of connected or guided to. So if you were drawn to this card, we got the energy of sadness coming in, and it just says here, sometimes we need to know what sadness feels like to be able to truly appreciate happiness. Life is full of opposites, and we need to experience all emotions to have a balanced life. I think that's really interesting. You know, I mean, it's unrealistic to expect to have too much positivity. We have to have an awareness for the shadow side. We have to have an awareness for the darker aspects of life. But the trick is not to stay consumed in the darkness, because it does help to appreciate the light. So maybe some of you have been feeling a bit sad, a bit overwhelmed. This morning I kind of woke up and I came across a couple of posts that had been shared from various places about somebody, this was from Spotted in Trowbridge, somebody that had literally been going around pouring acid onto cats. And I just thought to myself, what kind of world are we living in? And that just really kind of brought me down, because I thought, you know, this isn't an article that I'm reading from 10, 20 years ago. This is something that's happening now. And to me, I just couldn't get my head around that concept, that logic. Why would you hurt and sort of endanger a beautiful, helpless animal through your own sort of sadistic ways? And it really did upset me, because I thought, what kind of world are we living in? What kind of world are we leaving for the next generation? And it was really, really sort of, you know, uncomfortable to see that. But at the same time, you know, I can't change that that experience is happening, but I can continue to embrace that and to acknowledge that and let it go and continue to sort of do good and work for the light. And I think that is what's being required of some of us more than ever before. When we see this sort of secondary or shitty behaviour, we've really got to make a stand for what we choose to accept, for what we choose to acknowledge. And if it is something of lower level energy like that, it's actively making a sort of choice to move our energy away from that. You know, so be a sort of spinning wheel of change. Don't get consumed, don't get caught up in it. Actively give yourself permission to move forward and be the change, be the difference that this next generation can be proud about, can sort of look up to. That's what we need to be as people. And you might just think, listening to this, oh, I'm only one person, it's not going to make any difference. And it's a ripple effect. One person ripples and goes into someone else's energy, and then that kind of travels out to the wider world. So don't ever feel that you don't matter, or that you don't hold a power of your own sort of to make a difference in this world, because the more of us that can almost choose to work in a vibration of love, this world could be amazing. It could be so magical. And I hope that we get to a point within this lifetime, within my lifetime, where we can see glimmers and aspects of that. I don't think we'll see the end article in this lifetime, because there is so much sadness in the world, but I do think that it is achievable to counteract the darkness with the light. It's always possible. It's whether we bother ourselves enough as individuals to do this. So this is a really interesting card, and I feel like I've kind of gone a little bit of an offshoot with that message. But sadness, you know, it can be extreme stuff directly affecting you, or it can be stuff that you see, that you come across, that you kind of have an interaction for, and just a bit weird, isn't it? You know, life is a bit weird at the moment. Life is quite sad if we choose to see it through that lens, but it's actively choosing to sort of work on a higher vibration. And that's taking us really nicely into the next card. So as we go into the next card, we're going into enthusiasm. The little dog in this card just makes me smile. When these kind of were being pulled this morning, like this one just made me smile, because, you know, the sort of the fun in his eyes, the enthusiasm, and it's just lovely to see. Okay, so what we've got going on here then, the message for this card, for card 2. Don't let minor obstacles dampen your enthusiasm for your current project. Your energetic approach and eager attitude will ultimately see you succeed in this venture. So again, if you've been feeling a bit brought down, a bit overwhelmed by the external stuff going on here, it's almost trying to shake that off. It isn't always easy, it's not always kind of possible, but where you can, shake it off, dust yourself down, and don't allow kind of outside influences to dampen, to sabotage your personal goals, your personal victories, whatever you want to be experiencing and being part of, whether it's something really huge and dramatic or something a little bit more, you know, casual and digestible and manageable. But whatever you want from life, however you want to live it, you have an attitude, so you have an approach to it, and you can sort of go in very half-hearted and possibly you won't achieve your victories and your successes, or you can choose to go in on a high vibration, even if you don't always feel that way, and success will be yours for the taking. For those of you that have been watching my journey with my running, you will see, well, you won't see, but if you watched me of a morning, I'm like literally dragging myself out of bed between 6 to 6:30 of a morning, and I can't say that I've got a spring in my step when I'm doing my running. You know, when I'm first kind of warming up and going out there to do it, I'm grouchy, I'm miserable. Paul is normally telling me off because he keeps saying, for God's sake, try and enjoy it, and I like my sleep, so to be getting up that early is not good for me. But what is interesting, once I get into the running, once I get into it, it takes a little while to get my mental mind going, but once I'm there, I'm holding the vision, I'm holding the focus, and the more that I'm being challenged and everything else, by the time I'm done, I'm so revved up for the day, and it does really kick those kind of endorphins in, and it just makes you feel so much happier, so much more kind of empowered, really. So, you know, like this card says, you gain an enthusiasm that perhaps wasn't there before, and you do feel that you can all of a sudden take on the world. And, you know, on the days when I go running, I notice my whole day flows so much better than the days where I'm choosing to sort of maybe stay in bed for a bit longer and all the rest of it. So, you know, where we feed our energy into determines what comes to be. So keep the vibes high, even if you're not always feeling like that. You know, you are the change at all times. Okay, and as we're going into the final card, we're going into direction. And it just says here, think about the direction in which you are headed. Is life taking you where you want to go? Simply reflecting on your direction can bring greater clarity and meaning to your days. So sometimes it can feel a little bit like, you know, we're quite overwhelmed by these sort of the hurdles and the sort of, you know, burdens of life. And I think it's really important to kind of keep perspective. I almost see this as keeping perspective on things. And I think also what's really important is to be present. You know, when you sort of take a dog on a walk, they're not always too worried about where they're going to go long term. Their immediate focus is the path in front of them. So when we talk about direction, keeping it simple, staying very present, having an awareness for things that could come to be, but not getting consumed in all of these sort of ifs, buts, hows, when, whys, maybes. Staying present, focusing on the task in hand in the immediate space, and being open to receiving the best of the abilities there. So even though these cards are all independent messages, they're all a little bit linked. And I think as well, the world at the moment is so weird. Quite a lot of people can't believe that we're in September time already. Quite a lot of people have been messaging me today saying, oh my God, it just feels like this year has almost evaporated in front of my hands. And it is a little bit like that, but we can't change that, you know. We just have to kind of enjoy and be guided with what the rest of this year holds, make the best of the cards that we've got to work with, and, you know, put our best foot forward, whether it's, you know, small steps or larger steps. So I hope that you can make sense of these messages. Stay safe, stay well, stay fabulous, and I'll catch up with some of you guys again very soon. Take care. Bye for now.